The quest for enduring peace is the oldest yearning of the human heart, a silent, profound desire for a life anchored in stability and safeguarded from the relentless assaults of negativity. We have all encountered individuals who seem to move through the world enveloped in an almost palpable, serene quietude, possessing an inner light so bright it appears entirely untouched by the common afflictions of existence. This unshakable, magnificent energy, this peace that is absolutely impervious to external chaos, is fundamentally misunderstood by those who attribute it to chance, random genetic fortune, or some elusive stroke of cosmic luck. The truth, revealed through the systematic clarity and rigorous methodology of Allan Kardec's spiritual codification, is far more empowering and accessible. This light, this protective field, is the direct inevitable consequence of an invisible architecture that has been consciously erected and purposefully maintained by the individual. It serves as irrefutable evidence that true spiritual guidance and protection are not reserved privileges dispensed by a distant divine hand, but are, in fact, personal conquests achieved through dedicated, consistent, and highly intentional daily actions. The spiritual realm, as Kardec meticulously documented, is not separated from our tangible reality by vast, impassable distances. Instead, it is intimately interwoven with our everyday lives, constantly awaiting our purposeful, conscious alignment. Every person possesses the unquestionable intrinsic power to forge a direct, clear conduit to the most elevated and benevolent presences, issuing a powerful, though silent, invitation for celestial wisdom to actively guide every choice, illuminate every path, and infallibly shield every step taken on the earthly journey. However, for this vital spiritual bridge to be established and to endure, it is crucial to comprehend and embrace the sole, simple, and profound requirement placed upon us by the higher spiritual dimensions, the undeniable quality of our daily conduct. The spirits of light, who represent the pinnacle of moral and intellectual evolution, do not heed complex, ornate rituals, obscure mystical formulas, or meaningless material sacrifices. They are drawn like metal to a magnet, to an energetic field that you are meticulously crafting, moment by moment, which is infinitely simpler and exponentially more potent than any external display. The frequency created by your thought, your word, and your action. What you consciously choose to cultivate in your mind, the quality of what you permit to pass through your lips, and the tenor of your behavior within the sanctity of your own home. All of this intricately weaves the tapestry of your personal vibrational frequency. This frequency acts as your spiritual beacon, either summoning the most enlightened guides and protectors, or conversely, flinging open the doors to unnecessary chaos and pervasive darkness. The urgent, defining moment to seize total and complete command over your life and the electromagnetic field of your energy is precisely now. The spiritual architecture of personal peace. The profound difference between those who radiate inner stability and those who are perpetually battered by unseen energetic forces lies in this understanding of personal spiritual mechanics, a science meticulously outlined by the Spiritist doctrine. The serene individual has not been randomly chosen for blessed existence. Rather, they have systematically engaged in the slow, dedicated construction of an inner framework designed to resonate only with the highest, most refined spiritual vibrations. This structural process, the building of what we call spiritual architecture, is built upon the moral foundations of the individual soul. Kardec's analysis, particularly in books like The Spirit's Book and The Gospel According to Spiritism, consistently points out that our magnetic attraction to the spiritual world is governed by the universal law of affinity. This law dictates that like attracts like. Therefore, a person who cultivates virtues like patience, sincerity, and charity is naturally creating an internal atmospheric condition that aligns perfectly with the atmosphere of the spirits of light. These benevolent beings, characterized by their elevated moral understanding and detachment from worldly passions, simply cannot reside comfortably or intervene effectively in an environment saturated with base feelings such as envy, resentment, or deceit. The architecture of peace is thus built not from outward displays of piety, but from the deliberate, moment-to-moment purification of one's own inner life. Every act of forgiveness, every moment of self-control, and every expression of genuine, unsolicited kindness serves as an essential, load-bearing pillar in this invisible structure. This continuous internal cleansing elevates the frequency of the individual's perispirit, the semi-material envelope connecting the spirit to the body, making it a clearer, more luminous channel for celestial communication and assistance. The spiritual revolution Kardec spoke of begins not in the collective consciousness, but in the personal, quiet battlefield of the soul, where the smallest attitudes, a chosen word, a quelled negative impulse, become the powerful, silent motors that drive the greatest transformations. This framework ensures that spiritual guidance and protection are earned through effort, sustained through discipline, and made manifest through moral elevation, transforming the individual from a passive subject of destiny into the active architect of their own spiritual security and peace. It is the living proof that the protection we seek is a direct mirror of the light we choose to embody. Your daily conduct as a magnetic force. The concept of daily conduct as the ultimate spiritual magnet is the cornerstone of effective spirit-world interaction, a principle that simplifies complex spiritual laws into actionable, understandable ethics. The spiritual hierarchy, according to Kardec, operates on meritocratic principles of moral alignment, not ritualistic performance. Therefore, the highest spirits, those capable of offering profound guidance and protection, are not attracted by the pomp of external worship, but by the consistent, high-frequency energy emanating from a life lived with integrity and true brotherly love. Your daily conduct, the sequence of all your thoughts, words, and actions from the moment you wake until you rest, weaves a complex electromagnetic field around you. This field is your spiritual identity card. It is what the spirits instantly perceive and respond to. If your day is dominated by cynical judgment, petty grudges, and the pursuit of selfish aims, you are effectively tuning your personal radio frequency to a lower, denser band. This inevitably attracts spirits of similar low moral development, often called imperfect spirits, who resonate with and amplify these negative predispositions, leading to a vicious cycle of influence and energetic burden. Conversely, when you purposefully choose thoughts of constructive action, speak words of encouragement and truth, and carry out actions motivated by altruism and duty, you are dramatically elevating your personal vibratory pitch. This higher frequency naturally makes the lower-level entities uncomfortable, as they find the atmosphere abrasive and difficult to penetrate, thereby creating a natural, robust shield. More importantly, this elevated conduct creates a perfect resonant affinity with the spirits of light, who are then magnetically drawn to the purity and elevation they perceive. They are invited to draw near because the moral landscape of your life offers them a comfortable, stable environment from which they can effectively transmit their wisdom and assistance, thus fulfilling the divine law that assistance is granted only where there is a foundation of sincere effort and moral striving. Your life, therefore, becomes a continuous, conscious invitation to the celestial realm, demonstrating that the pursuit of personal improvement is the most powerful spiritual invocation known, consecrating your home as a sacred sanctuary. The spiritualization of one's living space, or the consecration of the home, is an indispensable practice rooted in the understanding that the physical dwelling is a direct extension of the resident's perispirit. Kardec's comprehensive work emphasized that environments are not merely neutral containers of matter. They are living, responsive, energetic entities that absorb and reflect the emanations, intentions, and emotional transactions that occur within them. Your house, therefore, is not inert, but functions as a vast energetic accumulator, recording every argument, every moment of despair, and every instance of joy and gratitude. If this space is neglected, either physically through persistent clutter and disorder, or energetically through continuous negative exchanges, it rapidly becomes a nexus for density and stagnation. This heavy, low-frequency atmosphere acts as a perfect spiritual attractor for suffering, less evolved and obsessing spirits who are instinctively drawn to places that mirror their own internal chaos and moral gloom. The very air begins to feel thick, moods become inexplicably irritable, and the simplest tasks seem overwhelming, signaling a compromised energetic environment. Consecrating your home is the act of reclaiming this energetic territory, transforming it from a passive structure into an active, sacred sanctuary. This process begins with the deliberate intention, upon waking, to acknowledge the space not as a possession, but as a temple of life and learning. By dedicating a few minutes to silently or verbally bless the dwelling, envisioning a pure golden light sweeping through every room and corner, you are actively reprogramming the space's energetic memory. This simple daily act of purification and intentional gratitude acts like a spiritual reset button, establishing a high vibration boundary that is immediately recognizable to benevolent spiritual guides. They are magnetically drawn to homes that practice this constant consecration because they recognize the inhabitant as a conscious participant in the energetic war against inertia, someone actively fighting to hold their light and therefore worthy of direct and continuous assistance, transforming the domestic sphere into a celestial outpost of protection and peace. The power of verbal legislation within your walls. Within the framework of spiritual mechanics, words are not merely fleeting sounds or arbitrary symbols. They are powerful, tangible carriers of specific, measurable vibrational frequencies, a concept often referred to as vibrational technology. The home, as an energetic receptor, is acutely sensitive to these frequencies, making the establishment of a sacred legislation of language absolutely paramount for spiritual defense and attraction. Every utterance permitted within your domestic walls acts as a potent seed, and the collective resonance of these seeds determines the entire spiritual harvest of the environment. Aggressive, critical, or profane language does not simply reflect a bad mood. It injects a spiritual poison directly into the home's atmosphere. The spiritual revelations consistently stress that our speech profoundly influences the caliber of the spiritual presences that are willing or able to approach us. Spirits of light, who dwell in spheres of perfect harmony and moral refinement, find the dissonance of vulgarity and hatred deeply perturbing. They perceive such language not as human failing, but as a violently abrasive noise that renders their proximity uncomfortable and their intervention extremely difficult. Such negative linguistic frequencies, conversely, create a welcoming, resonant swamp for imperfect or suffering spirits who are naturally attracted to and feed upon this energetic toxicity. The conscious decision to create a domestic code of honor regarding verbal expression is thus a powerful act of spiritual self-defense. This requires a commitment to automatically filter and replace low-vibration language, gossip, slander, sarcasm, or chronic complaining with equivalents that are dignified, constructive, and kind. This radical verbal discipline serves as a continuous internal elevation of the home's frequency, signifying to the superior spiritual planes that the residence is maintained as a truly refined environment, a suitable and inviting location for their stable, comforting presence and elevated companionship. This legislation ensures that the air you breathe is pure, not only physically, but more importantly, spiritually, eliminating low-vibration words. Taking the legislation of language a step further, the spiritual student must engage in the conscious, strategic act of rooting out and eliminating specific, low-vibration words that function as active magnets for dense, undesirable energies. This is not simply about being polite. It is a tactical maneuver in the invisible energetic war. Kardec's work demonstrated that certain expressions carry frequencies so intrinsically negative that their mere utterance can literally tear the delicate, protective, energetic membrane surrounding a person and their home. Words such as misery, disaster, curse, hate, or the habitual cynical use of derogatory terms are more than just negative descriptors. In the spiritual, vibrational sense, they constitute explicit, focused invocations that echo and resonate directly within the lower, denser spiritual dimensions. Even when spoken casually or accidentally, these trap words send out a clear, distinct signal that resonates with the chaotic, suffering, and morally retrograde entities that populate the inferior spiritual spheres, effectively inviting them to investigate and approach the source of the low vibration. The profound consequence is that the environment quickly becomes heavy and susceptible to misfortune, not through chance, but through vibrational alignment. Conversely, spirits of light operating on frequencies of boundless love and intellectual clarity are powerfully and intensely attracted to environments where these energetic tripwires have been recognized and systematically banned. This necessitates cultivating a heightened, vigilant consciousness over every single expression that leaves one's mouth, making the firm and unwavering internal decision to permanently excise these phrases from one's vocabulary. This profound linguistic purification acts as a metaphysical cleaning agent, systematically removing the heaviest, darkest energetic rocks that block the passage of pure light. By engaging in this careful, intentional policing of one's speech, the individual's home is transformed into a progressively clearer, more brilliant beacon, making it an irresistible harbor for benevolent spiritual forces who recognize the commitment to purity, establishing an impregnable barrier through decree. The practice of the triple decree represents a spiritual technology of protection, an active, focused invocation that transcends the passivity of mere asking and moves into the realm of spiritual command. Unlike a humble general prayer, this decree is a highly specialized, focused formula, a specific vibrational password immediately recognized by the higher spiritual planes as an urgent, direct request for energetic shielding and intervention. The chosen affirmation, "My house is blessed, shielded, and visited by light," must be repeated 3 times with the full, unwavering force of the voice and the absolute conviction of the soul, thereby activating an ancestral spiritual mechanism. The number 3 is deliberately chosen and carries deep spiritual significance, representing the divine Trinity and symbolizing the complete, powerful, and definitive manifestation of an intention within the universe. As revealed through the spiritual enlightenment that guided Kardec's writings, words are the essential carriers of powerful vibratory charges, capable of either magnificent creation or devastating destruction. In this specific decree, each component serves a critical spiritual function. The word blessed serves to formally invoke and consecrate the presence of the divine within the space, grounding the act in the highest authority. Shielded establishes a firm, energetically impenetrable barrier, a demarcation line that inferior energies cannot cross or corrupt without explicit divine permission. Finally, visited by the light acts as a formal, explicit invitation, summoning the superior guides and mentors to actively enter, survey, and take up residence within the newly established protected space. When this profound practice is performed with deep reverence and focused intention, it fundamentally transforms the mere physical structure of the dwelling into an inexpugnable temple, a spiritual fortress impervious to the common assaults and disturbances of the lower spiritual plane. This active, focused verbal command places the home under the direct, consecrated authority of the divine, ensuring a permanent state of high-level protection, curating the soundscape of your residence. The sound that is deliberately allowed to resonate within the confines of the home is a profound energetic factor, functioning as either a powerful spiritual invitation or an immediate, forceful repellent. The deep wisdom of the Spiritist doctrine informs us that the material world is enveloped by the constant, magnificent symphony of the superior spiritual spheres, a high-frequency melody of purity, peace, and eternal harmony. Evolved spirits are naturally attuned to this celestial music. Consequently, when you make the conscious, purposeful choice to play music within your home that aligns with and vibrates in harmony with love, profound spiritual truths, and universal brotherhood, you are effectively constructing an active magnetic field that naturally attracts and welcomes celestial presences. Your home transforms into a massive, sensitive tuning fork, vibrating in direct correspondence with the frequencies of the sound you permit. Melodies that celebrate genuine love, compositions that stir the soul toward elevated contemplation, and lyrics that powerfully articulate hope, gratitude, and spiritual growth all generate harmonic, constructive waves. These waves are powerful enough to effectively diminish dimensional barriers, and they are immediately perceived by the spirit mentors as a clear, resonant summons for them to approach and stabilize their presence. Conversely, music that glorifies despair, intense melancholy, deep-seated revolt, or base sensuality functions as a dense, suffocating vibrational cloud that actively extinguishes and prevents the entry of light. These genres create sympathetic vibrations with suffering and morally dense entities, encouraging their lingering presence and influence. The strategic decision to banish these low-frequency genres and meticulously craft a sacred playlist, a deliberate curation of sound focused on elevation and peace, is an act of spiritual engineering. It transforms the family's energetic environment, raising its overall vibrational pitch and making the home a stable, inviting location for communication and restful companionship with the highest dimensions. The sensory bridge of aromatic purity and cleanliness. The condition of the air inside your home must be understood as a critical sensory battleground, and its maintenance through impeccable physical cleanliness and the introduction of elevated pure fragrances creates a powerful energetic field that actively draws in celestial beings. Kardec's teachings consistently pointed toward the idea that the superior spiritual planes exist within an atmosphere that is inherently, perpetually pure and exquisitely fragrant. Therefore, evolved spirits are magnetically drawn to physical environments that actively reflect this aromatic and hygienic purity. A residence that is both meticulously clean and subtly, pleasantly scented becomes a literal sensory bridge, a conduit that dramatically facilitates spiritual communication, protection, and the lasting presence of guides. Each carefully chosen pleasant aroma, sourced from natural essential oils, high-quality incenses, or the scent of clean air, serves as an olfactory invitation specifically recognized by beings of light. The state of immaculate cleanliness is arguably even more crucial than the aroma. Dirt, grime, and physical disorder are manifestations of energetic inertia and spiritual neglect. These conditions foster stagnant, heavy energy that acts as a powerful repellent. Spirits of light possess an extremely acute sensitivity and are instantaneously aware not only through scent, but through the overall energetic signature of whether an environment is spiritually pristine or compromised. Foul odors or the pervasive feeling of clutter and spiritual stagnancy immediately repel these high-frequency presences, as they cannot comfortably remain where density reigns. Maintaining environments that are impeccably organized and using only natural fragrances that genuinely elevate the human spirit is a profound discipline. This practice causes the house to develop a unique, high-vibration energetic signature that spirits of light instinctively recognize and seek out as a sanctuary, making the home a place of physical, moral, and energetic refuge, inviting celestial beauty with living nature. The practice of incorporating living, vibrant flowers into the domestic sphere is far from a mere aesthetic preference. It is a profound spiritual act that commands the deep reverence of spirits of light, recognizing nature as a tangible portal between the planes. The revelations received by Kardec indicated that in the spiritual spheres, magnificent, idealized gardens blossom eternally, continuously irradiating divine essences that sustain and nourish the souls of the highly evolved spirits. By deliberately cultivating a small celestial garden within the walls of one's residence, even a few potted plants or regularly replenished fresh flowers, the individual is creating active points of energetic resonance directly linked to the superior, harmonious spheres. This infusion of life and beauty into the physical plane acts as a powerful, unambiguous signal to the higher realms, indicating a deep, conscious reverence for the divine creation. Spirits of light are irresistibly drawn to any environment where the divine, pristine beauty of nature is actively manifested and honored. Specific flowers carry unique, beneficial energetic properties. White lilies radiate purity and peace, while bright sunflowers channel vital energy and optimism. Each floral species possesses a specific energetic frequency that harmonizes with distinct aspects of celestial spirituality. The presence of diverse, colorful flowers creates a complete and balanced energetic spectrum, which celestial mentors perceive as irrefutable proof that the inhabitant is an individual who deeply honors the harmony and transcendent beauty of creation. By creating and tenderly caring for this internal sacred garden with love and dedication, the resident is offering a profound form of celestial hospitality, ensuring that the spirits of light find an environment that perfectly mirrors the elevated, pure beauty of their own dimensions. The direct protocol of conscious invocation. The capstone of all attraction practices, the discipline that unlocks the highest levels of spiritual assistance, is the rigorous practice of conscious magnetic invocation. This technique is based on the spiritual law that when a pure, concentrated intention is paired with specific, power-laden words, it creates a directional call that resonates instantly across all dimensional boundaries. It is the spiritual equivalent of a direct dial to the highest spiritual hierarchies. The specific sacred formula illuminated by the continuous guidance received through the spirit communications that formed the doctrine, serves as the absolute master key for spiritual access. My house is open for the essence of light to enter. My house is open for the blessed spirits to come and care for it. To pronounce this focused invocation with complete, pure intentionality and a deep, unshakable faith is to dispatch a formal, direct invitation to the most elevated spiritual entities, bypassing the lower echelons. Celestial mentors instantly recognize this intentional, conscious act as an explicit request for their profound protection and guidance, responding with immediate alacrity. It is wise to complement this central practice by also invoking specific known spiritual warriors or protectors, entities recognized for their strength and dedication to defense, to actively shield the home against inevitable energetic disturbances and potential negative intrusions. This dual-action protection, the conscious opening to the highest light, coupled with the strategic shielding against lower darkness, creates a perfect, sealed, energetic field. This powerful invocation should be performed consistently in moments of quietude and sincere reflection. When executed faithfully, this practice ensures that the home does not merely attract light intermittently, but fundamentally transforms into a permanent spiritual beacon on the energetic map of the world, establishing a continuous protective current of spiritual presence and unfailing orientation from the superior planes. These 12 principles, the structural foundations, the personal discipline, and the intentional home practices, are not a collection of arbitrary suggestions, but a cohesive, integrated plan of action designed to effect a complete, irreversible transformation of your energetic reality. The ultimate culmination of implementing these spiritual habits is the creation of a home environment so highly refined that the divine light can not only visit, but take up permanent, stable residence. The singular profound revelation that runs as a continuous thread through all of Allan Kardec's extensive codification is this: the successful attraction of spirits of light is an infallible and direct mirror of the individual's own moral elevation and achieved vibratory frequency. The deepest purpose of this effort is not merely to invite external presences to visit. It is the ultimate spiritual goal of self-mastery, to become the living, breathing personification of the very light that benevolent spirits seek out. The law of affinity ensures that light spirits are drawn to light. They seek resonance. As articulated in the Gospel according to Spiritism, the true Spiritist is recognized not by their adherence to outward dogma, but by their consistent, strenuous efforts to overcome negative character traits and by the visible, daily transformation of their moral being. Every deeply ingrained imperfection you strive to correct, every cynical thought you manage to consciously banish, and every word of elevation and kindness you deliberately choose to speak represents a monumental step in the construction of your powerful personal magnetism. Your state of inner being, the true measure of your moral progress, is and always will be the most potent spiritual magnet you possess. We are taught that the darkness feeds upon spiritual chaos, moral inertia, and intentional negligence. It eagerly anticipates the moment you forget the immense power of your own words, the moment you allow your home's energy to stagnate, and the instant you permit moral laxity to reign. But now you possess the secret knowledge, the understanding that every small intentional attitude is, in its essence, a powerful act of spiritual creation. The acts of consciously blessing your home, meticulously banning toxic verbal expressions, mindfully listening to music that truly elevates the soul, and deliberately surrounding your space with the purity of nature are not trivial acts. Every single one of these intentional gestures is a load-bearing brick in the fortification of your spiritual stronghold, a definitive declaration of war against the dark energies that perpetually seek to undermine your peace. Your house is no longer just a building. It is your consecrated sacred territory, and its energetic defense is your highest spiritual duty. It is the vital resting place where your soul finds solace and necessary recharge. By fully integrating these practices, you are not simply seeking temporary protection. You are radically and permanently elevating your own core frequency. The spirits of light will not simply visit you sporadically. They will come to dwell with you, because your personal space and your internal self will have achieved a resonance that perfectly mirrors the peaceful, high frequency of the celestial paradise. The spiritual revolution begins now, and it begins with you. There is no time for passivity or hesitation. The profound change you seek will never arrive from an external force or a complex, obscure ritual. It will be born from the exact, decisive moment you choose to act. The very first step, rising up to bless your space, silencing the first negative word that tries to escape, choosing the melody that nourishes your soul. These are the powerful, defining actions that separate those who merely exist in the darkness from those who consciously transform themselves into unstoppable, radiant beacons of hope and light. Begin now to implement these 12 principles, not merely to attract the spirits of light to your dwelling, but to completely and irreversibly become the very light that they seek to sustain and support. May your home be permanently consecrated as a bastion of profound peace, a sanctuary of boundless love, and an eternal refuge for all divine presences. May your life be forever shielded, and may your unwavering light irradiate out into the entire world. Your personal transformation is the definitive key to the greater spiritual revolution.